insights, picks, results. This is Wizard Sports Picks. Beyond the Lines.
Welcome to another edition of Beyond the Lines, presented by Wizard Sports Picks for Friday, February 27th. Ian Cameron with you, and I got a treat for everyone tuning in today because we're going to give you a game from the NHL, we're going to give you a game from the NBA, and we're going to give you a game from college basketball. That's right, we're going to give you a pick in each of the three sports taking place on Friday, and it is a great time to check out my service at wizardsportspicks.com. Very proud to promote the fact that, I am profitable and having winning seasons. Obviously, we had a tremendous NFL season this year, number one ranked on the website, but number one ranked in the NHL. We are having a profitable NBA season, and there may not be someone in better form right now in college basketball than yours truly right here, Ian Cameron at Wizard Sports Picks. How about 13-1, 93% the current streak in college basketball at Wizard Sports Picks. This has been by far the best run I've had all year in college basketball. And look, it's a college basketball season that's had some ups and downs for me over the course of the season. But we are feeling it right now. We're in the zone. We're seeing the board well. And it is a 13-1, 93% college basketball run for me at Wizard Sports Picks. No better time than right now as we approach the month of March to get on board. NBA, college basketball, NHL. You'll get plays in all three sports from me on a daily basis, profitable in each at the current point in time. So get on board and check out wizardsportspicks.com and also the other handicappers on the website, many of which also in great form. Enter your email address on the homepage to get free picks sent to your inbox. So make sure you check out wizardsportspicks.com and don't just buy, the daily premium picks, but get on board long-term with a 3-day, 7-day, 30-day, or 1 year all sports, all access subscription as well. It's been great, profitable in the NHL, in the NBA. We're back to a winning college basketball season now as well. And again, all thanks to the fact that of the large part due to this phenomenal 13-1 run that I'm on right now in college basketball. And one of the plays that I will give you on this edition of Beyond the Lines will come from college basketball for Friday, but we will start on the ice and we'll lace up the skates and we'll begin by talking about a very big Florida-Buffalo matchup in the Atlantic Division for Friday night in the NHL. Florida Panthers minus 125 home favorites, 6.5 the total here in this game. Once again, the Buffalo Sabres to me are the undervalued commodity here. I know the Florida Panthers won their first game following the Olympic break in decisive fashion, beating Toronto 5-1. It was an impressive performance. Let's be real. If anyone watched that game, it was every bit as bad Toronto as it was good Florida. The Leafs were awful in that game. They were terrible to start. They got behind early, and Florida just took control of the game from that point on. Florida will find it much more difficult here against a red-hot Buffalo Sabres team. That's been one of the best teams in the NHL for the last month and a half since before the break when Buffalo put that torrid streak together to put themselves in a playoff spot. Buffalo, I was worried the break might ruin their rhythm and momentum a bit, but they were able to be victorious against New Jersey in their first game following the break. And I think they've got the advantage here. Now, there's a chance Alex Lyon will start in net for Buffalo. We haven't seen him start for a little bit for the Sabres. If not, it'll be Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. We don't know as of now who the goalie's going to be, but either way, UPL has been good lately for the Sabres in net, and if it's Alex Lyon, he's had a very good season, and he's also going to be facing his former team, the Florida Panthers, if he starts here, and he's had some pretty good starts in the past against the Florida Panthers. Florida on the back-to-back will likely start Daniil Tarasov because they gave Bobrovsky the start against Toronto on the front end of the back-to-back, and if it is Tarasov, we're talking about a goaltender that has allowed 5 goals in each of his last 2 starts. Buffalo, to me, at this price is worth a bet. We're going to take the Buffalo Sabres here, plus 105 against the Florida Panthers. I know Florida beat Toronto, but Toronto is not at the level where Buffalo is right now. Tage Thompson's playing great. They're getting contributions up and down their lineup. Josh Doan's had a great season up front for the Buffalo Sabres. The veteran Jason Zucker's been very good for them. The blue line, Rasmus Dahlin's obviously had a great season. They've gotten some offense from the back end. And what's been impressive, too, about the Sabres, and we saw it against New Jersey, when it's up to them to try to play a shutdown game and hold on to a lead, they're capable of doing that now. So it's been a very, very impressive run for the Sabres, and I think they got a great chance to keep it going with a win against the defending Stanley Cup champions on Friday night. So I'll back the Buffalo Sabres plus 105 against the Florida Panthers in NHL action on Friday night. All right, let's turn to the association, the NBA. We've got the Memphis Grizzlies taking on the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas 6-point home favorites, 236.5 the total. I'm going to target this total, and I think we could see a lot of points. Neither of these teams are playing any sort of competent defense right now. We just saw the Dallas Mavericks get absolutely obliterated on their home court by the Sacramento Kings, which is pretty hard to do considering how bad Sacramento has been. A terrible loss for Dallas. And you look at the Mavericks here, they gave up 130 in that loss to Sacramento on Thursday night, 114 against Brooklyn, 130 against Indiana, 122 in a loss to Minnesota, 124 in a loss to the Lakers, 120 in a loss to the Suns, 138 and 135 in a pair of back-to-back losses to San Antonio. You catch my drift. The Dallas Mavericks are not really guarding or defending anybody right now. And I don't know if that's going to change here against the Memphis Grizzlies. But Memphis not playing much defense either. 4 straight Grizzlies games have gone over the total. And in 3 of those games, they've given up 123 points or more. It's also a Memphis team that's had a lot of injuries, and especially in the front court. And because a lot of their front court guys and all their players that have some size and some length have been banged up lately, they're playing a smaller lineup, less defense, quicker pace. That's usually what happens. When you got a bunch of players banged up in the front court, usually means you're going to play small ball, smaller lineup, quicker pace, less defense, less rim protection, and ultimately more points. So I think that is a chance we see that once again as the Grizzlies remain battling injuries, particularly in the front court. So put it all together, and I'm going to make a case that this game goes over the total here between Memphis and Dallas. It's not like either team is going anywhere this year. So I think defense will be optional here between these two teams on Friday night. So let's roll with the Memphis Grizzlies, Dallas Mavericks, over 236.5 on Friday night for my second selection on this edition of Beyond the Lines. And we will wrap up in college basketball. How about a little Sun Belt action? We've got Georgia Southern taking on Marshall. That's right, a little Friday night Sun Belt college basketball matchup here. Marshall, 7-point home favorites. This total is a massive one. Huge total. We're talking 167.5. The total here between these two teams. I honestly don't think it's high enough. You look at this Marshall team, and if anyone's been paying attention to my recent premium picks on the website, we've had Marshall over on my card a couple of times recently. I think at the game against Coastal Appalachian State, I had the over as a premium play. We've had a couple games lately where we've taken Marshall and released them as a premium play with the over. Marshall is now on a 8-0 over the total streak. 8 straight Marshall Thundering Herd games have gone over the total. And you look at the scores of some of these recent ones. You know, we got to 188 against Georgia Southern in the first meeting against Georgia Southern on February 14th. You know, we saw 187 points against App State. We saw in the last game against Old Dominion, that game got into the 180s, 185 points scored in that game. So these games in some cases are getting into the 170s and 180s. It's a Marshall team that has really picked up the pace, really picked up the tempo. I think there's a good chance that you're going to see that continue here in this game against Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern, meanwhile, 3 of their last 5 games have gone over the total, and Georgia Southern's one of those teams that will play with some pace too, and they'll be more than willing, to play that up and down style of basketball that obviously the Marshall Thundering Herd want to play. So when I look at this matchup here between the Georgia Southern Eagles and the Marshall Thundering Herd, Georgia Southern's not playing great defense at the moment. They gave up 87 to Marshall, or they gave up 87 to Marshall in the first meeting. They've given up 89 to App State and 82 to James Madison in their last 2 games, both on the road. Not going to get any easier here when you see that Marshall has scored 84 and 97 points in their last 2 home games, and they have scored 84 plus in 3 of their last 4 games overall. This definitely has a high-scoring affair written all over it. Yes, they've adjusted these Marshall totals. During this 8-0 overrun, we've seen some totals for Marshall in the 150s and a few in the lower 160s. Now we're talking 167.5. So we are seeing a bit of an adjustment. I'm just not convinced it's enough of an adjustment. And I think we still have some wiggle room here to think this game can get up and over the total. Remember, these teams got to 188 as far as total points the last time they faced each other just a couple of weeks ago. Are they really going to fall off by more than 20 points in the second meeting here? I'm not so sure that's the case. So I think there's still value and wiggle room to play another Marshall over here in college basketball. So we'll go with Georgia Southern, Marshall over 167.5. That will be my third and final pick here on this edition of Beyond the Lines. That's a wrap for this edition. I'm Ian Cameron. Get to the website, wizardsportspicks.com, and come on board with NHL, where I'm ranked number 1 at wizardsportspicks.com, NBA, where I'm profitable on the season, and college basketball, where I am on a 13-1 streak entering Friday. Don't forget MLB right around the corner as well. Baseball will be here before you know it. Plenty going on at wizardsportspicks.com. Make sure you check it out. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the like button. I'm Ian Cameron. Thanks for tuning in to the Friday, February 27th edition of Beyond the Lines, presented by Wizard Sports Picks.